welcome to Patriot Weekly. Great to have you along. We are inside Pike Road School here on George Washington Boulevard, our third site, right?
Yeah, does it bring back some memories a little bit? Did you play on this campus?
No, I did not. I went to Cloverdale.
Right.
I covered Georgia Washington football when Steve Montgomery and Smitty Grider were coaching.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do you remember them?
I remember,
guys?
yes, I do.
Smitty was certainly a guy. This is the head coach of the Pike Road Patriots, Mr. Granger Shook.
Smitty, actually, he's at Benjamin Russell.
Yeah.
We played them last year.
Yeah.
He's still doing a really good job.
Smitty, Charlie and I did some broadcasting for him when he was in Montgomery.
Okay.
So we did some of his games, and we're glad now to be tied to our friends at Pike Road. How you doing, bud? Good to see you.
Appreciate you.
Granger and I have been tied at the hip for about a handful of years now.
Sure.
So we come in, same situation as we faced in the 23 season.
Right.
We lose a couple of games, pre-region games.
Right.
But how do you feel that these games, you really competed in Enterprise against one of the top 7A programs, I think, in the state, historically and currently with head coach Ben Blackman.
Right.
How do you feel the two games that you've played have gotten you ready for Rehobeth and region play? Losing to Prattville at the end, losing a tough one on the road to Enterprise.
Well, I know we played two very quality opponents. I know Enterprise was number 2 in 7A. I know there's a lot of good competition at that classification. I thought we were very well prepared. I thought our boys were very physical at the point of attack. I thought we established the line of scrimmage really on both sides of the ball. I mean, I was very proud of the physicality, very proud of the grit, very proud of the fortitude as to which our boys played. I thought we played much better than we played week 1. And again, I'm not in for moral victories. That's why I'm not here. I'm not here for those reasons.
Sure.
But again, we saw visible improvement, not only as a staff, but I think our players will allude to that too. Terrion Bell, senior lineman's here. Connor Hall, sophomore place kicker.
Couple of field goals for Connor.
Yes, Terrion is helping spearhead the effort up front on the offensive line. He's actually going to play a little D-line this week as well. Playing both ways in 6A is not a small task. But Connor also has gotten better each and every week, and so very proud of these two young men and how they've progressed. Not only on the field, but in the locker room, and so that is why they're here tonight.
Before we talk specifics, just about some of the things you ran into down in Enterprise, it would just look, if you looked at the score,
right,
that maybe the offense didn't perform as well. Give me your assessment of how the offense played.
Game started great. We our defense got a turnover early in the game. Offense, we got the ball in positive field position. I think we get in a third down situation. We get the ball down inside the 1 yard line. There was an issue that the White Hat saw that I've yet to see on film, and it backed us up a little bit. But again, knocked us out of field goal range. But there were some uncharacteristic issues in that game that I thought our boys did an excellent job persevering through. It was a 7-3 game at halftime. We come out, we get a good drive.
You really felt in the first half, down 7-3, that you had controlled the line of scrimmage, right, and had done enough in the game,
yes,
to actually lead the game at the half.
Right. Well, and again, their defense is very good. Coach Blackman does a phenomenal job preparing his team in all 3 phases. We make an ill-advised throw. They make a great play. And they intercept the ball. They return it inside to the 15-yard line going in. And those are the only points we gave up in the first half. Our defense was lights out. And so, very, very proud of that effort. Offensively, we couldn't capitalize on some drives. Enterprise is a very good football team. They don't need any help. We may have helped them here and there, but it's one of those things where they capitalized on it. But again, proud of how our boys competed. We are definitely better now than we were 2 weeks ago. And so I'm excited for us to get into region play.
I want to address the elephant in the room, and if you know anything about me or Coach Shook, you know that the last thing we've ever done in our careers, me in broadcasting, he in coaching, is make excuses about anything. That's just not how we're wired.
No.
Some people are wired that way. We're not. But there were some incidents in the game that you and your staff felt like needed to be addressed with some people that oversee the guys that are there to monitor the game, the officials. Tell us about some of that and the disappointment that you had there and how you've addressed it.
Well, I mean, my boys know I love them. My boys know that I told them that we played well enough to win the game, regardless of who we're playing. If Pike Road plays our quality of ball, I think we can compete with anybody in the state. There's no doubt about it. And I thought our boys played to that level on Friday night. But there were some issues where it was out of our control. There was some just, day one, intro mechanical issues of, who's supposed to be here, who's supposed to be there. And
who can legally be there and who can legally not be there.
It just wasn't happening. And, again, Coach Blackman has a heck of a ball club. He's won a state title. He knows what he's doing.
And he's above board too. You and I both have great respect for Ben Blackman.
Absolutely.
Great respect for the historical program in which he's coaching. I've known the Blackman family my whole life. You've known him a long time too, and quite frankly, he's built a program that doesn't need any help.
Absolutely.
So give us an update. You literally went to the powers that be in a classy way and just made them aware of some things, and you've gotten some feedback.
Yeah. They agreed with me.
Yeah.
They agreed with me that there's going to be some implications moving forward. Unfortunately, it doesn't change the outcome of the game. I told the boys today, the Lord works in mysterious ways, and we don't always understand the why. We don't always agree with the why. He doesn't ask us, to agree with it. He just asks us to put our nose down and get back to work. And that's what we're going to do. We understand that it's going to make us better. We understand that a team gets closer through adversity than they do through success. And this team has encountered some adversity. And I'm very proud of how we practiced yesterday. I'm proud of how we practiced today. Our weight room has been phenomenal this week.
How'd you handle the holiday, Coach? What went on yesterday? Earlier this week.
Yes, yesterday we brought them in the morning.
Earlier this week.
Yes, brought them in. Yes, sorry. Yes. Yeah. We brought them in Monday morning and had a JV game at Opelika. And again, I thought our boys played a phenomenal game against Opelika. It was a back and forth battle for those guys, but we practiced from 8 to about 11 o'clock. Then varsity, we had some ice baths for those guys. Talked about a few things with them. Our JV loaded the bus and headed to Opelika, and had a really good game there. Then Tuesday, getting back to work, and we'll have our normal schedule like that. So
a few questions surrounding that. How many kids do you have on your varsity squad right now?
Well,
do some of the junior varsity players dress out for the varsity, but get their opportunity to play more?
Absolutely,
in the JV game?
Absolutely. How I've described it, and expressed my vision for JV for our program as a whole moving forward. There are some young men who are right there towing that line that can be very big contributors on Friday night. However, there's just a couple of things here and there that they got to fine tune before they're prepared for that. Well, JV is that mechanism to help prepare them for that. And so if you play on Friday night but you get 10 or fewer reps, and you're an underclassman, I want you to play on JV. It helps develop depth. It helps promote competition. It makes everybody better. And
how involved are you with the JV team?
We are very involved. I take a step back on game days for JV, just because
that's good for your coaches.
It helps our younger coaches really be hands-on, and some of them get an opportunity to call the game. Some of them get more of an opportunity to make adjustments on the sideline. But Monday through Thursday, during practice, I'm very involved with those players.
Okay, so How many JV players went to Opelika?
We had right at 45 players.
That's
go.
awesome. And how many players did you dress out in Enterprise Friday night?
We dressed out 85.
So the numbers here in Pike Road are adding up. You're
They are.
getting the participation.
They are.
You've got the program. This is your second year. I know you've got your hand in on the younger kids
Right.
as well.
Right.
Getting them ready for middle school ball and till they get to the high school level. So do you feel good about where the feeder programs are for you?
Absolutely. I know that, there's always growing pains when you jump up a classification, and that's
Sure.
what we've done. I think we've held our own on Friday nights. I think last year's, proof of that. I know we've played two really good 7A schools leading off, but I'm excited about the trajectory of this team moving forward. And I was explaining it to a few parents and a few coaches yesterday about JV. When you play bigger schools on JV, like in Opelika,
Sure.
or Prattville or in Auburn that we have coming up, I want to play them because those are the teams that want to play us on Friday.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And so, but when you play those bigger programs, for instance, Opelika's got 33 seniors. So those 33 seniors, they're playing on Friday nights, but they also got 30 juniors and 35 sophomores that aren't. You know what I mean? So when we have 17 seniors, we have a lot of juniors and sophomores that are playing on Friday night, hence they're not playing JV.
Right.
So you see the numbers of juniors
Absolutely.
and sophomores playing on JV compared to the freshmen and sophomores playing for JV for us. But our school is growing. We're in the process of catching up with those schools. We're still a few years away.
Do you feel we're a few years away of at the reclassification someday of being a 7A school, or will that never happen?
I think
Because when you build a new school, when the new school is built,
Right.
I suspect that that's going to be another magnet to the Pike
I
Road
agree.
area.
I agree.
Because all you folks, if you just look at the plans for this moving forward, I mean, I believe that's going to create another massive increase in
agree.
your attendance.
I agree, and there's neighborhood developments popping up everywhere. Again,
But you're a long way from that right now.
We
Yeah.
are. People are saying it's going to be the next couple. No, I think we're a good
Decade away.
10 years away. Yes, I agree with you.
Okay, so final question for this segment. You and I sat at this show last year and we talked about one of the top teams in Georgia. Then we talked about who'd you play? Hillcrest,
Top
Tuscaloosa.
teams. Top team.
Was it Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa
was.
you played?
It was.
Another one of the top
Yep.
teams.
Yep.
What's your scheduling model? Because it looks to me like you are totally investing in getting these kids prepared for the games that are going to decide where they are in the state playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, again, I talked to our players and our staff. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And talking about facing adversity early in the season, so you know who you really are. You don't really know who somebody is until they go through adversity. And so we have a really good idea of who our players are. They have played two 4-quarter games, and there have been opportunities that when we knew that the game we were down 2 scores, but against Prattville, our offense stuck it in the end zone. You know what I mean? With 1 second to go in the game.
Sure.
Those kids wanted to finish the game the right way. Against Enterprise, we had a 4th and 1 stop, and against Enterprise where a lot of teams would have folded, but our boys did what they were supposed to do in the last seconds of the game, being down 2 scores. And so we have the makings of a very special team. We haven't gotten the results we want yet, but I can see our boys growing closer together at the right times. So, we haven't peaked yet. I don't think we'll peak for a few more weeks down the road. But again, I do like where this team is going.
And that same thing applied last year. The team that you put on the field against Hillcrest Tuscaloosa
Right.
would not have won some of the playoff games you won last year.
Agreed.
At that point of the year.
Agreed.
If you fast forwarded, and also, and I believe you've told me this, and I know some of the media people that watched you play. Some kids on your team had to learn what it took and the effort it took to win at that level. Right? I mean, some of the kids on your team last year had won at a lower level, but at 6A football in the state of Alabama, there's a lot of 6A teams beating 7A teams, okay? We know this.
Yes.
And I think, not going to mention any names, but some of your kids last year learned what the effort it took to compete, and now some of these guys are playing on Saturdays in front of a lot of people.
There's a lot of, Malik being one of them, but there's a lot of 6A players that we played against that made big impacts on their team on Saturday.
Yeah, Ryan Williams.
Yes.
Malik Blockton.
Malik and Malcolm.
Right.
There's a lot of good talent that those guys are competing against, and those guys are going to be ready because they do want to play at the next level. But again, I like where this team's going. These young men are making the right decisions, and it will pay off. They are going to reap what they're sowing.
Coach, you'll join me again in a couple of segments. We'll talk more about Rehobeth.
Absolutely.
But we're excited to have Terrion Bell, a senior offensive lineman. He'll join us right after this timeout. You are watching Patriot Weekly. Welcome back to Patriot Weekly, joined now by Terrion Bell. He is an offensive lineman for Granger Shook and the Pike Road Patriots. The Patriots heading into region play this week. We'll talk about Rehobeth. I know you've seen some of them on film, Terrion, but man, you played a lot of plays at Enterprise. Talk a little bit about that and getting ready and getting the conditioning in to play both ways.
Getting ready for that. Coach had me going both ways during practice during the week, so I can get used to getting on both sides of the ball. So when I get in the game, it'll just come natural, and whenever they need me, I'll just be right there ready to get in.
So if you had to choose one side of the ball, you like blocking or do you like tackling?
At heart, I like tackling, but I block most
there
of the time.
you go. Let's talk about where you think this team is, Terrion. You're a senior. You're a leader. Lots expected of you in the locker room, on the sidelines, during the game. You lose 2 tough games against 7A competition, but you were on this team last year.
Yes, sir.
You know how this season started last year, and you know 11 wins followed those first 2. So what are you telling your teammates as y'all get ready for the region opener?
I'm just telling them the first 2 games was a little rough stretch. I feel like we didn't really play to our standard. I feel like it was the little things that we weren't doing right. We just weren't buying in into what the coaches was telling us. But those 2 games help us realize that we need to do the little things right so it can help us later on this season so we can get ready for bigger games that we had to win in region play.
Because I think what I'm hearing you say is you're better off for playing those 2 teams and maybe coming up short than you would be for playing a lesser opponent and maybe getting a win. I think that's what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
I like that. Guy wants to knock off the big guy in the room. Let's talk about what's next. I'm sure the talk has been in the locker room with the coaches about region games and how important they are for seeding and home field and all that type thing. You're on the road again, too. I mean, you have not played a home game yet, Terrion. This will be your 3rd game away from Pike Road in your beautiful facility here. What about Rehobeth do you know? What have you seen with them on film?
As far as what I've seen on film, they're not really big in size, but they have grit, very disciplined. So it really makes up for the size that they lack. So I feel like if we just do what the coach telling us to do, like Coach Shook been saying all week, the opponent is ourselves. We have to.
Right. I'm with you, man. I get it. But you don't worry as much about what they're doing. You're worrying about what y'all are doing. And you play a position that requires cohesiveness, that requires you guys to be on the same page, right? And the more snaps you get doing that, the better chance that you're all going to be one unit, correct, Terrion?
Yes, sir.
There it is. So, the offense this past week moved it some, couldn't punch it in. What's been the concentration this week at camp with trying to fine-tune some things on the offensive side of the ball?
Doing the little things right, lining up correctly, taking the right steps, trying not to miss assignments, effort, just doing things the right way that it's supposed to be done that we haven't been doing the past week.
Where do you think the mindset is of this team, Terrion, as we head into Friday night?
I think we have a good mindset. Like I said, we've been worried about ourselves, not just the opponent, just because the lack of size or they're not as talented as us, but we have to stay humble just in case something goes wrong.
I know you're
big head.
I know you're going to be excited about playing a game out here on your home field. You got
Yes,
one
sir.
more to go till you get out there.
Yes, sir.
Terrion, thanks for joining us, man. Good luck Friday night.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Terrion Bell, he's a big old senior that's getting it done. He's lines up really close to the football, and the closer they line up to the football, the more important they are. Most coaches will tell you that. When we get back, Connor Hall, he's a sophomore place kicker. I know he's filling the shoes of a guy that made some huge kicks for Pike Road High School a year ago. We'll visit with him when Patriot Weekly continues right after this. Welcome back to Patriot Weekly. We're inside Pike Road School here as we get ready for Friday night's visit to Rehobeth. More with Coach Shook about that in just a short while. One position that we've seen the importance of since Coach Shook arrived in Pike Road is place kicking. Last year, if you followed the Patriots at all, Hunter Eicherman really lifted this team at key moments in games. I think there was a walk-off win in there or close to one, and all the playoff games were impacted by his good place kicking. And the guy that's filling his shoes is Connor Hall. He's a sophomore place kicker. Connor, welcome to Patriot Weekly, man. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Let's talk some about filling in shoes of a big senior. I mean, you're just a sophomore. That makes you a 10th grader. You got 2 more years after this one. What do you do at practice and in the weight room to try to grow, get that leg stronger, and get that confidence up?
Well, you know, Hunter Eicherman, he was amazing last year, and I knew that I needed to step up because last year I definitely was lacking. But over the off season, I hit the weight room hard. I went and got help from Coach Clark, and you know, it's just like the more reps I got, the more consistent,
And then that provides confidence, right? The more
Yes, sir.
consistent you get, the more you feel like you're going to do it. You made 2 kicks in Enterprise in enemy territory the other night. What's your range what right now? And I know what it is today won't be what it is in a couple of years, but what is it as a sophomore?
right now I'd say from about 37.
Yeah.
I think I'm good from 42 if everything goes right.
Right.
I might
And
be able to sneak it in.
Something tells me that when you're a senior walking the halls of this school or the new school, whatever school he's walking, that 37 is going to be a walk in the park for you, is going to be my guess. Talk about what you feel the special teams role is on this football team. And every coach I've ever spoken to has talked about that in glowing fashion, about the importance and the impact it can have on a game. You saw it from the sideline last year with Hunter.
Yes, sir. It's very important, and it can win us major games. And yeah.
And so at practice, I'm assuming that you have a holder, or do you have one of the portable things that holds the ball?
Yes, sir.
So the holder can do whatever he's doing? Is your quarterback the normal holder? I thought he was. I know he was last year. So you're working out and you're in the weight room just like other players, and then you're kicking throughout the practice day, correct?
Yes, sir.
You know, that's being a sophomore and having that big of a role. You're also kicking off. So obviously, the better you kick off, the better field position that your defense can have in trying to hold the other team. So are you enjoying football?
Yes, sir.
How long have you played?
So I started last year.
Oh, that was your first year?
Yes, sir.
Wow. A good recruit. Were you on the soccer team or what was your background? How'd you know you wanted to kick?
So I had been in Europe playing soccer for about 7 years, and then I moved back to America, and I noticed like it wasn't as serious here, but football was, and it interested me, this spot of kicker, and it was something I wanted to attack. And
Where in Europe did you live?
Germany.
How about that? That's pretty cool. Got a German kicker here for Pike Road. That's not bad at all. But you were born here, I'm
Yes, sir.
assuming. Moved there, military?
Yes, sir.
And so you moved back, and now in Pike Road, you found a great community to live in. I look forward to following you the next couple of years, man. I think you've got big stuff ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for joining us. That's the Pike Road kicker. What a great job he's doing. He's Connor Hall, the sophomore kicker. He may knock one through to win a game or two as well during his career here at Pike Road. We'll talk about Friday's challenge. It's Rehobeth. It's another road game. The coach, Granger Shook, rejoins me as we head for home on tonight's edition of Patriot Weekly. Welcome back to Patriot Weekly, and before we get into the discussion of Rehobeth, that's Friday night's opponent, 7 o'clock at Rehobeth
Yes.
on Friday night. There's a huge event on Sunday night that your team is headed to. It's called United. It's at First Baptist Church in downtown Montgomery, and the chaplains of the Auburn and Alabama football teams, Chet Williams and Jeremiah Castile, both played football at their respective schools, and your team is going to that thing Sunday night.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
What a blessing to have that. Russell McCroy and his staff at First Baptist Church has really been persistent and getting up with the local high school coaches in Montgomery and in the River region. And there's going to be a great message that our young men are going to have the privilege to hear. Again, talk to our families, talk to our community. You know, we as a staff are intentional of using football as a carrot for these young men to grow on and off the field, and of course off the field being the priority. And so, you know, so I'm excited. I've heard both Chet Williams and Jeremiah Castile speak multiple times, and the good Lord is working through those men.
No doubt, because Chet will be the first to tell you his time at Auburn was troubled as a player.
Yep.
And now he is impacting, I guarantee you, Chet Williams is impacting in a positive way more people at Auburn than anybody else at Auburn is, because of what he has done. It's been well documented that undefeated team back in 2004, Tommy Tuberville, now Senator Tommy Tuberville, will tell you that he impacted that team more than anybody.
Absolutely.
Because of the faith element of that team. And Jeremiah Castile, of course, a former NFL player and played at Alabama. Kids have a tendency to listen to the guys that play at that Sunday level, didn't they?
They do. And so I'm excited that, you know, Russell's putting this on for us. Again, I'm excited that
Will a lot of
team,
teams from around the city be there?
Yes, I mean, there's teams, you know, from everybody from 1As to all the way up to 7As will be there at First Baptist Church. So again, it's going to be a great environment, and it's going to be very impactful.
Can't wait to hear about that next week. I know you'll tell us about it. Also can't wait to hear about how we played against Rehobeth on the road. Talk about this team. What do you know about them? I'm sure you had some film to look at it on the huddle.
Coach Green, Toby Green at Rehobeth, you know, he's been there for a while. He has done a really good job with that program. Again, like us, they have not been in 6A long. You know, this is their first year in our region, and so they came from 5A to 6A. They're a growing school like we are. You know, they are 2-0. You know, they have not struggled like we have early.
I doubt they've played the opponents you played.
You know, again, I'm excited for our boys to play a 6A team, and you know, but I know Coach Green is going to have his boys ready. Defensively, they're very sound. You know, they're multiple up front, a 4-man or 3-man front. You know, their secondary does a great job of mixing up zone and man. They tend to make you nickel and dime down the field, so it's going to be tough for deep shots. You know, we're going to have to really lull them to sleep, so to speak, you know, but I do expect for Cason to have a really good game this week. You know, their offense is not really what you see a lot of anymore. They're more of a single wing offense.
Wow.
So they're 3 yards in a cloud of dust. You know, it's going to make our boys be very disciplined up front. They do a lot of shifts. They do a lot of trading. You know, they have 4 guys in the backfield at any given time that can catch the snap. You know, I know a lot of our parents don't understand really what the single wing, but they don't have a true quarterback behind the center in shotgun. They have two guys in A gaps on either side of the center, and the center snaps it and they'll catch it and go one way, or they'll catch it and go the other way, and they're gaining a hat, so to speak, trying to outnumber you at the point of attack. So it's going to take a lot of discipline by our boys to execute.
It's going to make sure the center doesn't run the ball.
Yes.
Let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Yes. We'll be on our P's and Q's.
Granger has done his research. Coach Shook realizes that some things you can do and some things you can't do in the rules of football.
Right.
How are we physically after a couple of physical games against some 7A teams?
Well, I mean, we are banged up, but the teams we have played are also banged up. In 6A football, you're getting into the meat of your season. You're in week 3 already. There's going to be some bumps and bruises. Our athletic trainer, Encore, has done a pretty good job of getting our boys back, getting them treatment during the day, getting them treatment early in the morning, getting them treatment after practice, just to make sure that our guys can practice so they can perform at their best ability on Friday. So there are some guys who are banged up on both sides, but man, our boys are tough. I'm very proud of how they've been practicing so far.
Granger, you preach to your teams wherever you've been coaching that you want improvement every week, right?
Yes.
You want to see that steady improvement. We feel like we've got that going on with Patriot Weekly. That first one at the ball field was what it was.
It was fun, though.
It was fun.
Yes.
The last week's was as good for that we could do, and this week's even better. I want you to pay tribute to the young men that are helping us put Patriot Weekly together.
Kabir's here again tonight. Josh Martin does an excellent job. These guys are very, very creative. They are way smarter behind a camera and a computer than I am. So I appreciate what they do and the time and effort that they put into this.
Have a great week at Rehobeth, buddy.
Thank you,
Let's
Doug.
get a win.
I appreciate you. I'll see you next week.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We will be back a week from tonight with our 4th edition of Patriot Weekly. Something tells me we're going to be celebrating a road win and a good start to region play. For Granger Shook, I'm Doug Amos. We hope you've enjoyed it this week. Patriot Weekly back with you a week from tonight. And until then, be safe, everybody.